When you start laying the foundations of a town, you don't really think about the soul of it. You start with the basics: food, shelter, trade. But sooner or later, every good settlement wants to say something about itself, and that's where civic buildings come in. Once you've sorted out the meat and potatoes of a settlement, so to speak, you start to wonder, is there more to life? And medieval settlements had all of the buildings: guild halls, market house, taverns, brothels, town halls, almshouses, hospitals, churches, clock towers, bell towers, and, from time to time, libraries. I'm going to be looking at the library today. This is the original library that I built. It's looking a bit shabby and I'm going to do something about that. But before I do, Thomas seems to be trying to get my attention, so let's go and find out what he wants. That was a bit suspicious. I wonder what he was looking at. Hold up, Thomas! Wait there! What seems to be the problem, Tom? Let me guess, you have something that requires my attention. A poisoned well. I've done this one before. If I recall, there's a bandit and I couldn't find the right shrubbery. Oh, I should probably give that another go. I don't want to be defeated by shrubbery now, do I? If I recall, somebody on the Discord was saying that I should look for smoking bushes. Let's dispatch the brigand, first of all. Sneak attack. There it is, little smoking bushes. Oh, they're everywhere. How did I miss those before? I didn't know what I was looking for. Haha! I'm not defeated by bushes this time. Looks like I collected all the medicine we needed. Back to the matter at hand, the library. Compared to the tailor shop next door, it's looking a bit sad. The core wood aesthetic is nice, but it doesn't quite blend very well with the upgraded buildings. The brickwork and lath and dung walls are outshining it. That's something I thought I'd never say. The library really is only library in name here. It's actually the research building where you stick a villager in and then they will do the research on the technology trees for you. I have no idea whether or not it'll extend its functions in the future. I hope it does become more than just a box for doing technology research. Either way, it doesn't fit, so I'm going to tear it down and upgrade it. I think I should do the same as before. I'll run out of town, find a nice open area, build it there, and then I can bring it back and replace it so I don't have to disturb the villagers while I'm designing. Tally ho! I think this was the same place as before, you know. Looks familiar. To get started, I'm going to build the shell of the building, starting with the foundations. Bearing in mind that you have to build from the ground up because you can't get things to place otherwise, like the roof won't place on the ground. It can only be placed with particular types of supports underneath it, relevant types of supports. So I'm just going to create the overall shape that I want here, and I'm going to go with this type of interior shape, which is very similar to, in fact, it's the identical shape to the commoner house that I built previously, except this is going to have a slightly different design upstairs. In fact, I'm going to try to see if I can get upstairs to have an overhang. You know, those kinds of medieval buildings that have an overhang that looks too precarious for its own good. Seems to have let me achieve that as well. I seem to be able to create a lovely overhang here with no supports required. Interesting. I'm definitely going to put some arches on the interior though, just in case it decides to all fall apart when I'm building things later on. You know, it's funny, of all the civic buildings a medieval town could boast, a library is probably the rarest. You could have a market, a guild hall, even a courthouse before you even saw a proper library. I suppose in the Middle Ages, books weren't just books, they were treasures, weren't they? Every volume was a work of art, copied by hand, you know, inked in silence and often chained to a desk so no one could walk off with it. From my understanding, the first libraries, if you can even call them that, were monastic scriptoria, a quiet, cloistered room where monks would be bent over parchment for hours at a time. That was pretty much their job. It's common knowledge that most people couldn't read in the Middle Ages, and the manuscripts that monks would be copying weren't even designed to be read by common people. They were prayers and miracles of patience. Here we go, I think that'll do it for the exterior. I like this sloping roof at the back here. I think the overhang does it for me. I'd like it if it wasn't quite so extended, but it's fine. I feel like it could do with some support underneath. Oh, don't forget to put your gable ends on everywhere. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's move on to doing a bit of interior decoration, shall we? Get these stairs back in. What else do we need? Oh yeah, we're going to need some windows, and we're going to need a door. I've only got one door in this place. Should I put a back door in another door? No, I think one is enough. I don't know for sure, and I've been trying to research this, but I guess as towns began to grow in the Middle Ages, especially around the 12th and the 13th centuries, something changed. My hunch is that it was something to do with trade and wealth, because wealth bought free time and curiosity, boredom, I suppose, maybe. Liberation of drudgery, let's call it. About that time, universities, the idea of universities appeared in Europe. They already existed in other places, but they appeared in Europe about that time. Guilds of merchants and craftsmen wanted their sons to read, and suddenly learning wasn't just for the clergy anymore. You could aspire. That's when libraries began to move out of the monastery and into the city. Check this out, I've got the research desk. I'd like some more props for the libraries. I guess it will all get fleshed out later on. Where was I? Libraries in towns and cities. They were small at first, often single rooms above a church, porch, or corner of a cathedral school. More symbolic, I think, than formal, but monumental nevertheless. From a common person's perspective, I suppose it was something like saying, we value knowledge as much as we value faith. In a world where most folk couldn't read, just having a library was a statement of ambition. And from a settlement growing, from that perspective, it's like saying, we have arrived. Anyway, according to my research, by the 15th century, places like Oxford and Paris and Florence had chained libraries open to scholars and occasionally the public. Even smaller towns tried to keep a few precious volumes, books of law, it says theology, maybe a bestiary or two. I suppose you want to know which animals to avoid. So they became buildings in their own right, and their architecture started to reflect that. Heavy beams, thick shutters, narrow windows to protect the parchment from light. A building built with a purpose rather than just an aspiration. I suppose you start to want to protect the things that you have, and so in a way a library can be thought of as a fortress for books. I like to imagine how ordinary people might have saw them, like a carpenter's apprentice passing by the library door might glimpse rows of books and chained tomes and think it all a bit mysterious. Holy, even. Maybe I'm overthinking it. If you think I'm overthinking it, let me know in the comments below. Should probably give you a reminder at this point that liking and subscribing is free, while I throw a few rugs down. This is going to be my reading nook at the back here, and I definitely should have a fireplace upstairs. And this time I'm going to do the more sensible thing. I'm going to put the fireplace above the fireplace downstairs, so that if we ever do get chimneys added, then it'll make more sense and we'll just have one chimney pot sticking out the top of the roof. I really hope chimneys get added. This upstairs area is going to be wall-to-wall books. It's going to feel really cozy, I think. A little bit different from downstairs. Downstairs is kind of more like a service counter area, I imagine. So you've already noticed that I've split the downstairs and upstairs into two kind of different functioning sections. If the librarian is working downstairs and, I suppose, keeping an eye on who's bringing books in and taking books out, like the book bouncer, really. Is that what a librarian is, a book bouncer? I'd love to see a librarian tackle someone at the door. Give me that book back. That's a rare edition of Animal Husbandry for Idiots. Okay, I think I'm pretty much happy with the overall interior design. It makes sense downstairs. You've got the entrance and the check-in, check-out desk and all that. No idea whether or not medieval libraries would have had a check-in, check-out desk, but, you know. Upstairs we've got some seating and a fireplace as well. I think you could get quite scholarly in here, but you're not going to get very far unless you actually have some books on the shelves, are you? So let's put a couple of those down. If I can find them. I think they're in decorations, aren't they? Here we go. Okay, this is probably going to take a while, so let me just fast forward this for you. I wonder if I'm the first person in internet history to have a bookshelf montage. There we go. Now it feels like a library. I like these little flourishes with the lamp and the just piles of books on the tables. So people can come in, grab books, sit down by the fire there, have a little read, or they can go upstairs and do some serious studying if they're more that way inclined. It won't influence the speed at which things get researched, I'm sure, but it pleases me. Just need to tidy up outside. I debated about creating a more appealing, more intricate facade, but this doesn't quite feel quite right to me. So I'm going to stick to something that's... I mean, the building's quite large in itself, especially for this settlement that I'm in, so I think I'm going to keep it relatively modest. We'll see. When I actually get it into town, I might change the facade a little bit. Depends on what it needs. This has been bothering me a little bit. I'm not quite sure what to do about it. The upstairs floor panel there is kind of just floating. I'm not quite sure how that cantilever would work in wood, so I feel like it needs some sort of support from underneath, but I can't get those archways to snap on. Maybe if I put a floor panel down here and then get it, maybe I can delete it afterwards. This is more for the developers, really. I'm trying to get to grips with your building mechanics, and you can see what I'm struggling with, and now you know what I'm struggling with. You'll be able to think of some creative solutions of how to make my creative process even more fun and enjoyable. Because I can't get this to work, and I don't like this cantilever. Maybe some just like triangular pieces for the corners there as supports. Yeah, that'll probably work. So anyway, I think I am done here. Apart from that overhang bit there, I think I'm quite happy with that. It's got a far more townsy, definitely an upgraded library. And from the outside, I like this kind of overhanging look at the front. And the space underneath is just crying out for some decoration. We don't have that kind of stuff just yet, but when it comes, oh yeah. The interior is pleasing me a lot, and I love this sloped roof on the back there that just cuts in. It adds a lot of, what would you call it, just appeal to the eye. Those unusual and extra angles just make it seem more interesting. The interior is pretty nice. It's surprising what you can do with such a small amount of props, really. It's basically just tables, rug, and bookcase. That's pretty much it, really. Yet it feels quite cozy and usable, a usable space inside. Anyway, let's get on with it and save it as a prefab. Let's call it library upgrade, I think. Oh, a Bara library upgrade, just in case you wanted to download it yourself. Then you'll know it's me, Lord Bara. Now that that's done, we can demolish it and then run over into town and demolish the old one. Here we are, out with the old. And where is the new? It's under economy. Foundry. Library. Fishing jetty. There it is. Alright, I've just got to try to fit it into that same space now. It should be about the same. In fact, it is the same size. It'll have the same surface area. There we go. Oh, it's hovering. Oops. Try again. Let's rotate it so we'll have the frontage this side, the same facing the front as the tailor shop. Try to get it nice and close if I can. There we go. Ah, you see, the frontage doesn't quite work here. See if I can get some stairs on. I had a feeling this wouldn't quite work, you know, I did say. Maybe if I build it, then it'll attach or snap on. Oh, it's not working. I can't get it to work. And winter's coming. Look, it's getting all snowy. never mind. I'll just do this instead and put some brick steps up, because I've got bricks now. Not quite as auspicious as I would have liked. I might come back to that, but it'll do for now. This is the building all framed out, and now we're just going to get a horde of builders over here and get them all built out. Probably take them all season to do it. Voila! Through the power of editing, we are now complete. Merry Christmas. I guess the only thing left to do is put a villager back into the library as a worker. I don't know who it was. Where's the library? Library number 1, there we go. And it was Edward. Is Edward the right person for this job? Well, he can work here, so he must be the right person for the job. I'm going to need to go through all of these villagers and make sure that they're working in the right kinds of buildings. I've been trying to do it as I go along, but let's see what upgrading the tier does. I have no idea what upgrading a building does, you know. Ah, it gives you extra worker slots. Why did I not know that? Oh well, I know now. I wish I'd have known that earlier. It took a long time to do the research. Kicking myself. Never mind. Well, here we are, standing beneath the lamp outside of the blacksmith. The tavern just over there, and the new library has been completed just opposite. Look at the villagers and how cheerful they are. They barely even acknowledge me. Yes, this is giving this whole area here in what I would call the centre of town a much more open feel. There's my other lamp. You can tell I'm pretty pleased with the lamps, right? It's because they're made out of iron bars and it's difficult to get them. So as I set these stones, I think of those monks in candlelight, of merchants who paid for books they'd never read, and of the simple pride of a town that chose to build a house not for gold, but for words. You see, a library is not just a building, it's a promise that knowledge, once found, would not be lost again. Anyway, dear listener, that's all I've got time for. I hope you enjoy my aimless ramblings and earnest attempts at building design. But until next time, I'll just say, if you have been, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. If you haven't already, click like and subscribe, or you might find a visit from a very angry librarian. As always, this has been Noble Legacy, and I have been Lord Bara.